This is our first videocast. The year in 2021, we did some experimentation in December and November, and this is our sort of this is our attempt to make like maybe a regular thing where we kind of discuss what's going on with EURAXESS China and so on in a more of a relaxed and free manner, maybe more interesting, etc. It doesn't sound like that I'm being very relaxed right now. Just because, you know, every time you're trying something new, you are always a little bit nervous. I'm not alone. I'm also here with Anna, who is speaking from Europe. Anna, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Haldor, and hi, everybody. If anyone is there listening. Yeah, it's. I think it's going to be fun. It's a little bit weird, the feeling of like being in front of your computer's camera without being able to see if actually someone and who is there following the stream on the different platforms. But I think it's a nice experiment to start the new year with.
Yeah, I think it's actually very great. By the way, I really like that the background that you have. Really nice
Modigliani.
Pictures. Yeah, some beautiful artwork there. This is really great. So the way that we're going to be doing this is that we're going to be this time we're going to just keep it very simple, and we're going to talk about our newest sort of publication. We did just publish a newsletter. And we are going to sort of go through the newsletter, the things that we just published there. There's a lot of interesting articles. We're going to be discussing what was going on last year, other things that we sort of had on the top of our mind. The newsletter just came out last week. You might have already received it through your flash notes, but if you haven't seen it yet, this could be maybe an interesting extra content on what's going on, etc. So you can, but let me see if I find the newsletter here. I think this is the newsletter here, and yes, we're in the middle of the newsletter. Let me go directly to the beginning again. So the newsletter, this is the last newsletter of the 2020. We just published it actually right after the new year, but it still sort of covers the fourth quarter of 2020. We do the quarterly, like kind of overview, what's been happening and what's coming up, etc. They normally come out in this sort of a PDF version, and I think that's maybe not super interesting or a good way to do things anymore. So I hope, like, I'm not sure a lot of people are kind of reading this, but we do have other venues. We have emails, we have a WeChat, we have Facebook and Twitter, etc. And but this is where like the real articles, the real work is going there. So it's a little bit shame if you're not aware of this newsletter. It's a little bit shame because there's a lot of good content there. But fear not, now we have a better way to do this. We have our little videocast to talk about this. And I was thinking we could like maybe start, but just going through the newsletter and the first article of the year is sort of like a review thing. You're so big, and I'm gonna make it smaller here. Yeah. So
yeah, I don't want to take too much attention, please.
Well, I mean, yeah. No, there's no problem with having a little bit of attention sometimes once in a while. So okay, so like the first article of last year is actually on just like a review of what's going on in 2020. It was a very strange year indeed for all of us, and but there was like really surprisingly a lot that we did last year, and I kind of like, I think newsletters sometimes are a little bit intimidating. There's so much text going on, etc. So I just really wanted to focus sort of visually, put a lot of pictures out there of the things that I've been doing. And you can notice that little, the graphic there of a person holding up their rearview mirror as a little thing that I'm made in Adobe Illustrator, so custom-made graphics as sets. I'm only mentioning it because it took me like 6 hours to make something this simple. So the way that I want to do this is that I was thinking maybe we take a look at a couple of things that we had there. So for example, let me see, yeah, so like, for example, the first thing that we did last year was we started the year last year very early, and about this time last year we had immediately we had the first event of the year, which was about 17th of January, which was took place, was like an info session about the European research area, and it took place at Tsinghua University here. It was part of like the tour of China from like the year before. We kind of ended it in Tsinghua University by doing like a really nice event. And we also did like a couple of other meetings and stuff in January. Thank God, because without that, we would have totally had nothing to do in 2020, because soon after that, everything kind of got a little bit crazy. We had like the COVID-19 hitting us, which kind of meant that we had to move completely into the virtual world, which was, we did quite literally. After the team got split up and all physical activities got canceled, etc., the only thing that came to our mind was maybe just to put up like virtual reality classes and try to meet each other in that way. We thought that would be like a totally new way to do things. Everybody else was doing webinars, so we thought maybe VR could be supplementing the webinars in a very interesting way, allow people to get into more, like get in touch and contact with each other in a more interesting way. And we also did a lot of webinars, but in the end, it resulted in us kind of like going ahead with a very ambitious virtual reality researchers night that took place later in Q2, where we had like people from all over China and Europe meeting each other in this virtual space, everybody wearing their glasses, talking to each other, and did a little bit split up session and so on. Super interesting, and I think really good way to sort of using this thread that was the pandemic to advance our project, experiment with new things, trying to look towards the future, innovate, etc. But maybe I ask Anna, what did you think was really interesting last year? Is there anything in particular that you remember?
Well, you know, last year was a very different year, and it was very, very different in like the way we approached the different activities. And to be honest, I'm really looking forward to the new year and to go kind of back to a sort of, you know, normality. But at the same time, I think that webinars and also hybrid events were really a challenge, but also an opportunity for us. So exploring new formats and also being able to reach more researchers and in a different way and more spread out than it was ever possible before. So I think that we learned a lot, and we might use this experience in a different situation, but you know, to our advantage and to everybody's advantage in this 2021, even putting it together with physical events, they are now possible, or sort of.
Yeah, no, definitely. We did a lot of interesting things online, definitely. And so we, for example, had like the webinars about the Green Deal when that came out, about the Mercatovsky actions. We had like, I think, more than 12 webinars last year. So that was very, very, very fun and interesting, and allowed us to get in touch with a lot of people that we hadn't before. But around the last quarter of the year, actually, I'm going to make the pictures bigger. So around the last year of the quarter, we actually started to sort of travel around China finally, because the situation in China was getting a lot better. So we were able to start doing physical events again. We also did like but without sort of giving up the webinar things. We still did that. We did a lot of videos. We had a lot of things going on. And like you said, when we started to get this opportunity to talk about to do like physical events again, what we had learned from the first part of the year when it comes to webinars and virtual events, we were able to apply that to combine it, to make our events a little bit more impactful. all these people that weren't able to come to our events before because they were not like there, they had been able to come to our webinars. So we were just thinking, why can't we just allow them to also join our final events? So the last event of the year was the European Researchers Night, which was really, really interesting. We had like a lot of people coming to that. And that took place both online and also offline. I think that is also like probably like that was like the flagship event of the year because it really combined what we were doing in the first part of the year and what we were doing in the second part of the year. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the newsletter because we have another article about that. Maybe Anna could take us to the next section of the newsletter. What is
I'll be happy to. Yes, in the second section, we are talking about a survey about COVID-19 and research mobility that was done by our colleagues at EURAXESS Worldwide. And it was, I think, a very interesting job. They surveyed more than 1,200 researchers from all around the world. Many respondents from European countries, but also like all the different hubs of EURAXESS Worldwide helped through. So it's quite comprehensive, and it has some interesting findings. I think that's also interesting because basically they concluded that for 85% of the researchers, even under these difficult circumstances, international mobility is still a must, is still in their plans. And for a great majority of them, the 75%, if I'm not mistaken, the destination that they chose has not changed. So, I think it means a lot also to us and to our work in trying to connect Europe and China. Means there's still interest, and Europe proved to be still a very attractive destination. So even more after the pandemic. That is also very interesting and very surprising. I'm very happy and I'm very proud of be promoting European programs because there's a lot of interest out there, don't you think?
Yeah, no, definitely. I thought that was really good. I thought that was this report was very interesting because one of the things that we really look into really carefully here is sort of the situation with the European diaspora here in China and the Chinese that are going to Europe, and we have a tunnel vision there because we really care about that a lot. But how does it look like in the context of the whole world? So yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, we did our little survey. I think a lot of you guys were aware of that. If you're a European researcher in China, you probably already saw that one. We had like a interview, like we kind of like surveyed more than 100 researchers in China to check out what they were going on and what was going on with them. And this was like what we were really worried about and think about. But then our colleagues in EURAXESS Worldwide, they coordinated this worldwide survey that really sort of underlined in what context this is all happening. I mean, like mobility issues was not only a China-specific thing last year. Unfortunately, it was something that hit the whole world. The good news is that according to the worldwide survey, most people are still seeing themselves to be very mobile in the future. They want to continue working in the working in another country, etc. While a lot of the another result was actually though that almost all of the people that were asked in the COVID report, they said we foresee still that our work in general is going to change a lot, right? It's not going to be the same. But in China, the situation was a little bit different. We had our survey, like I said earlier, and I don't know, Anna, maybe you could introduce a little bit, how does sort of the main results worldwide compare to how it looked like to us here in China?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, probably the situation with China is a little bit different than in other regions in the world. And, especially because the outbreak started in China, right? And luckily, we might even be able to say that it's also like going to an end earlier in China. But yeah, the timing was quite unfortunate. It was, just before Chinese New Year. So many of us, especially many Europeans working and doing their research activities in China, were out of the country. So our survey showed that right after the month after the outbreak started, many Europeans were stuck out of China and were unable to return to their activities. So that is also interesting to be seen as linked to the worldwide survey, because worldwide researchers expect their activities also in the future to go through a very profound changes, and they said in general that they need better ways to interact and to work live even under difficult circumstances and not being able to have physical contact. So that's I say is probably even like more important to the European researchers normally work in China, as many of them were stuck off the country and some of them returned through the summer. There were some lift of restrictions, and the ban that was originally imposed by China on the return on any foreign resident was lifted, at least to some categories. So we saw many of them returning to their positions, but still probably there's a very strong need of new ways of interaction. And that's also what we've been trying to do through this year, and that we're trying to keep on, especially I would say in the first half of 2021. Don't you agree, Haldor? Do you think we were sort of effective in helping researchers that are not able anymore to go to their labs or teaching every day?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely that was like one of the things that we could really add value. So we have been able to do like a lot of virtual events and webinars and so on. And also we've been staying in a really strong connection and with the diaspora networks here, working with them, trying to find out what's the real situation on the ground with the researchers, etc. Like I said, we surveyed the researchers in last summer, the European researchers, and in our case, we found out that 60% of all the researchers were stuck outside of China at that point. And like Anna said, a lot of them have been able to return at this point, but we haven't surveyed this again, but we after asking around inside the diaspora networks, we sort of have the feeling that at least half of them are still stuck away. So 30% of the original population of European researchers here are still stuck outside of China. This is a very difficult situation. We feel great responsibility to cover it, make sure we find out all the information, etc. And if you're interested in, for example, following what this was all about, you can take a look at our third quarterly newsletter that came out in October, where not only did we put out the results of the survey, but we also kind of covered all the different ways people could go back to China, if they were able to come, what process they could foresee it at that point. This is also something that we did in the second quarterly newsletter. We just keep on looking at this. So if you're interested in seeing, this is the first time you're hearing about it, you can take a look at our old newsletters by going to our website, china.EURAXESS, and you can find .org, and you can find the publications and find all of our newsletters this year. And some people have seen it. I want to mention, just like before we move to the next session, we had a launch event yesterday from the European Chamber of Commerce here in China, where they were publishing their new huge report about decoupling between China and the EU. And it's a huge topic. We all know about the technology decoupling between America and China, etc. And the question the European Chamber is thinking about right now is about sort of decoupling between EU and China, if we sort of if we can foresee that that is going to sort of follow the pattern that is going on. And one big part of that would be innovation decoupling, which is a thing that really concerns us. Researchers that are going between China and Europe, they need to follow these sort of things. And they actually referenced in that report, our third quarterly newsletter, about this situation with the COVID-19 with the European researchers here. So this was something of interest to them. It was something that they felt that added value to the conversation. So I was very happy to see that. I think maybe now I could like move to the next topic. The next article is the one about Germany. So we always, in every newsletter that we have the EURAXESS members in focus, and we have like a new focus country every time. And this time we had the pleasure of working with the EURAXESS in Germany to talk about Germany as a destination for researchers. So this is really good. I mean, like, if you're really interested in learning about like different members, if you're a Chinese researcher or you're just researcher interested in the European research area, you can take a look at our country profiles. We have now a lot of them, like at least 20 of them, and all of them have like a lot of information what's going on, like about like the main R&D strategies, the main funding tools and opportunities, all the different things like that, and some like about the main institutions or something like that. This is something that we are always very happy to do. I know that I'm going to put this here, all three together. I know that we have a lot of researchers in our network that are interested in going to Europe. They're interested in working in Europe or working with Europe. And of the European member states, obviously Germany is of great interest. People are really interested in learning more about that. They are the biggest European country in terms of population, and also very impactful when it comes to research and science in almost any different fields. And also very happy to collaborate with China and Europe, etc. Yeah, don't you think, Anna?
Yes, I mean, Germany is definitely a very important member of the European community, very attractive, a lot of different very high-level universities and researchers and scientists. And I think there are also quite a few collaborations that are going on between Chinese and German research institutions. And are you familiar with any of them, Halder? Do you think any of them is worth getting in contact with for Chinese researchers that might be interested in mobility into Germany?
I mean, in the article, if you take a look at the newsletter article, there's like a whole section about like the main institutions and the main facilitator of research and technology and science in Germany. and I could go through the list there. But one thing I really want to emphasize is that Germany is Chinese are very lucky when it comes to Germany, because all of these organizations have sort of presence here in China. They're all here available for you to sort of engage with. This is not always the case. If you're going to be researching how researchers could, if you want to be finding out how you could be engaging with different European countries, we can normally list out a lot of the main national research organizations and so on. Almost never is the case that they have some kind of presence here in China, Chinese speaking staff and so on. Almost all of them do. So they're right here in Beijing, very close to our office, the EURAXESS office. You can find, for example, the German Academic Exchange Center, the DAD, that really is a great facilitator of mobility. You can find institutions like the Max Planck Institution, Helmholtz. You can find Fraunhofer, who all have their own different sort of strengths when it comes to different type of research that they do with China, and all of them are very involved in Sino-German research collaboration. And even the main national funding body of Germany, the DFG, has a whole project here with the NSFC, the Natural Science Foundation of China, called the Sino-German Center for Research Promotion, which is here in Beijing in Wudako. It's a huge initiative with a lot of different calls throughout the year, specifically funding German and Chinese research collaboration in different fields. I know I just talked to the lady who was in charge of the center maybe a month ago, and in January, February, we're expecting that the new list of call topics will be coming out. So we're looking forward to see that. We in EURAXESS will definitely make sure to share that with all of them. But yeah, you know, I don't know, Anna, maybe we should try to do a webinar or something.
Yeah, yeah, I was thinking exactly the same. There's many opportunities, and hopefully also with this like new calls and the information available that will come out in the coming months, we should definitely organize a webinar. We have launched this series of Mobility Compass webinars last year, where we focus on mobility opportunities on selected countries. Or areas of the European research area. So I think, as you suggested, we should definitely organize one highlighting the opportunities that are there for Chinese researchers interested in going to Germany. Why not?
Definitely. And then the last section of sort of the last article of this quarterly newsletter is the European Researchers Night, right?
Oh yes, yes. I think we can say that the end of the year concluded with a very, very exciting event. So we had the European Researcher Night in Shanghai, and it was in a very innovative format. We said that before. It was our first fully hybrid event of 2020, and also probably an experiment that will bring more such events in the new year that just started. So it was very interesting, a lot of fun, because it brought together researchers from so many different areas. We had a group of researchers who gathered in downtown Shanghai, and others who joined online through the Zoom platform. So some of them were Europeans, normally in China, but who were in their home countries. Some of them were European or Chinese that were in China, but not able to travel to Shanghai because they had other commitments the same day, or even just because some of them were, unable because of COVID restrictions. So it really gave the opportunity to a lot of people who wouldn't be there only for a physical event to join. And so we had the 9 presentations from European researchers and also Chinese researchers who participated into European programs or doing their research in Europe at the moment. Very different topics and many different countries. So it was really a wide variety of different research areas. We talk about nanotechnology, archaeology, global history, and international relations. And it was, in the fun and, informal way that is typical of the European Researchers Night. So I think it was a very nice way to end 2020. And Halder, you were there, right? What do you think? Did researchers enjoy it?
It was so fun. I think a lot of people are really waiting for this. We haven't done a Researchers Night this is actually the 8th time that we do Researchers Night in Shanghai. We've done it a lot of times before. It's always really appreciated by the community. The Europeans, they love it. They come there all the time. Since 2014 or 13, we've been doing this, but for a long time we weren't able to do it. And this year, obviously, was nothing possible. So when we announced that we want to do something like that, despite how difficult things are these days, a lot of people responded and showed a lot of interest. They wanted to wanted to meet us. And in the end, we got like over 40 people to show up there. Not only Europeans, we had a lot of them from a lot of different fields, but we also had like a lot of Chinese researchers that are somehow maybe alumni of European networks or just interested in working with Europe. And the way that I can tell that this was successful, fortunate to like cut the stream and finish the whole thing with the hybrid event. But at that point, I just said to the people there, there's like a bar next door. Is there anybody interested in coming? And we ended up with like dragging 18 of them with us, and we stayed having a beer and talking to each other until midnight. These are people that didn't know each other before. Some of them did. I mean, like maybe 2 or 3 people together coming from like the same university or something, but a lot of them did not know each other. And this was a great opportunity for them to connect with each other, make new contacts, etc. It was really fun. You should take a look at the picture. We put some of them online. It's really, really nice. When it comes to this sort of European Researchers' Nights in general, it's not only taking place in Shanghai. In a normal year, if the situation is just normal, we try to do this in different places in China. We try to do it we've done it like 9 times in Beijing before. We already done it twice in Guangdong province, and we already done it a lot of times in Shanghai as well. So like these 3 locations are our usual suspects. We keep doing things in these areas over there. And we definitely want to continue doing something like that. We think this is very impactful. We think this is like, because one of the things we're really trying to do is that we're not just trying to feed information into you guys. We're trying to make sure that the people that are in network are connecting with each other and making real connections, making real new contacts, finding, like new uses for this network. This is also your network. It's not only our network. And the only way for that to happen is to make sure that people can actually meet and interact independently of us. And this is what happens in networking events. So we try to do these sort of things. And in the future, we would definitely do more of that. That being said, we know that it's not easy for all of you to come to Shanghai or Beijing or even Guangzhou, Shenzhen over there. A lot of you are all over China, people in Wuhan and Dongbei and different places. And for all of you, who knows, maybe in the future we'll be able to put together enough people to do something over there. Always interested in that. If you have an idea, just let us know. If you can bring the people, we can maybe do something together for sure. But in the meantime, what this year has really added to our arsenal is the ability to allow people to attend online. So that is the biggest sort of, I guess, like takeaway. Now we can do our like little researchers' nights, and people from all over China can join, or all over the world for that matter, if they're interested. And I think this is something that people would like maybe do like us to do more in the future. Of course, we're still learning. It might happen like some technical difficulties, etc. And but I'm sure we'll get better and better at this over time, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think you were very right by saying that people were really looking forward to it. I remember one of our speaker, a Chinese lady who is doing her research in the Netherlands now, told me, "Oh, I'm back in Shanghai. I can't wait to meet our other researchers for, a social event." She was so excited. And at the same time, I was connected online from Italy, and it was great to be there. We will definitely work more on finding different fun and interactive way for people to join our events physically and online, being able to make their presentations even if they're not in Shanghai or Beijing or Guangzhou, and ask questions and possibly also networking with each other. So yes, this is definitely one of our objectives for 2021. And Haldor, we want to conclude with the final section about the last couple of things that we did during the last quarter, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like we already covered all the newsletter right now, and this first video cast of ours is getting a little bit long. longer than I thought, actually. But I'm sure we're going to get better at that in time as well. It's interesting experiment for us to be doing this like kind of live in this way. But yeah, normally we end the newsletter every time with something that we call "In Case You Missed." So if I just like take a quick look at the newsletter, the last page is normally looks like something like this. So honestly, like last quarter was kind of crazy. There was so many different things going on. This was one of the like most active quarters that we've done just in long history. Not only did we have like 7 different like physical events that we either participated in, co-organized, or just like a EURAXESS event, we also had all of these different webinars and things, you know. Just for we also did like a whole slew of different videos that we've never done before. This is available on our website and on our social media and so on. And some of this stuff is super good. I mean, like things that like maybe a couple of years ago I would have killed to have something like this, you know. Like I think this is like amazing content that we have here. We have something like, for example, we had like the webinar on EURAXESS, for example, in November. I mean, like I count myself lucky if I get like one good testimony from an ERC grantee. If I'm here in China, I've never been able to get a testimony from a Chinese ERC grantee. Once I had a Chinese ERC grantee, but obviously for Chinese applicants, that is very, very helpful if we can do that. In this case, we had 2 of them, and we also had Manuel, a good friend of our network, who is also a European ERC grantee, who shared his experience with applying for from here in China. And we also had like this amazing evaluator that could tell us all, you know, concrete details how to apply, answering all these questions and so on. Amazing activity, way better than we could have done if we didn't have this webinar format. This was not the only one. We had the European Green Deal. There was another webinar we did during the quarter. It included like a whole session from the counselor for climate change at the European delegation, who introduced like the political context, and we went through the whole Horizon 2020 goal, over 1 billion euros of research funding focusing on Green Deal. We also had like the mobility compass that Anna was talking about earlier. One of the big events, big webinars this quarter was the one about the Spanish research opportunities available to Chinese, where we got EURAXESS in Spain to explain in amazing detail what is available. And also we had like testimonies from Spanish research organization that have been involved in collaborating between China and Europe. This is a really good example of how you could kind of learn about and find out how to sort of engage with Europe. Like, look at these opportunities. This is where it is. Like, the devil is in the details sometimes. You know, we have the European programs, and we have the member states like Spain, all 27 of them. And yeah, we just like had a lot of those. We had like the Marscadal security mobility information. We had a lot of different activities. So if you missed any of this, the good news is, during this, like in these latest times where we are all connected and everything is virtual, all of this information is available in a recorded form online. So you can still take advantage of this. If you're interested in ESC, if you're interested in the Green Deal calls, there's still a couple of them that are open now in January, although you're being pretty late if you try to apply now, but who knows. If you're interested in Spain or any of the other countries that we're working with, this is all available online in recorded form. You can go to our website and find out more. So I think that's it for now. We took like good 40 minutes to go through the whole newsletter. It must mean it's really a content-rich newsletter, right, Anna?
Yeah, I hope, you know, this way was maybe a little bit more interactive and dynamic way to talk a little bit about the content of our newsletters. So in case you missed it, you know, you watched the video, you didn't have to read all the PDF. So yes, I hope someone out there appreciates, and we will do it again for sure.
Amazing, very good. So I think this will be it from now. I think like sometimes we were like talking a lot. This is all unscripted. We're just thinking like talking on the tip, like sharing what is on the tip of our tongue right here. So I feel like it was maybe a little bit wooden performance, let's say, but I hope that this videocast in the future can become a staple of the different sort of communication tools that we have to offer. I want them to be very relaxed, a easy thing that we sort of can like do to communicate directly with the community. If you want to talk to us directly, we're also always available. I mean, like you can just find our email and china@euraxess.org, or just find us on VChat or something, and we're always happy to talk. But in the meantime, you can follow us on this new videocast format. So yeah, I just saw that was a new viewer watching us on YouTube. That's quite excellent. Is that you, Anna?
No, it's not me.
Amazing. Okay, so shout out to our YouTube viewer. We don't have a lot of YouTube subscribers, but well, there is one. Anyway, so thank you very much, Anna. We can maybe stay in touch when we do our next video cast. Stay in touch with the community.
Of course.
So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and thanks anyone who's watching. See you at the next video cast. Bye bye.